In this video, I'll be doing what if Mahroga was in the Sendai Colony. I'll be putting him up against Dhruv, Kuro, Ryu and Uro and seeing what the outcome will be. I will not be including Yuta as Mahroga will be taking the place of Yuta, and we'll start off with the beginning. So similarly with how Yuta easily dealt with Dhruv to begin the exchange and change the deadlock between the four pillars of Sendai, Mahroga would easily sweep up Dhruv because of his abilities. One, Dhruv has Shinigamis and the orbital Shinigami, however none of these will be able to input enough damage to kill Mahroga. And with Dhruv being a human and not a cursed spirit, he won't have the abilities of using his sword of extermination. However, I think his raw power is more than enough to deal with Dhruv, who unfortunately, even though we haven't seen enough from him, I don't believe the Shinigami will give Mahroga too big of an issue, and especially with Mahoraga killing previous Zenin clan and Six Eyes users, I don't believe Dhruv is on that caliber to deal with Mahroga. Would then now get to his second conflict against Kuro. So for those who don't remember, Kuro has the flesh-eating bugs and they're very effective, and it was a great counter to Uro. They can easily rip up the body, and they have life-infesting thugs which will continuously eat out the body. However, Mahroga has the ultimate counter to Dhruv with his sword of extermination. So for those who do not remember, his sword of extermination has positive curse energy, similar to that of reverse curse technique. This means it's super effective against curses, and this was shown in the brief fight against Sukuna. He talked about how the fact that if he was a curse himself, he would be in trouble, and if we're taking someone at Sukuna's power level, saying that if he was just a curse, he would be in trouble. I don't think from what we've seen from Kuro, he would have any trouble with dealing with Kuro, and would easily stomp Kuro as well. His life-infested bugs are very troublesome, however, we know the ability with Mahroga being able to adapt to these phenomenons. That means the first impact after the initial attack, he'll be able to regenerate and adapt to that phenomenon, meaning even when he gets his eventual revive in the coming stages, he won't be able to do anything to stop Mahroga. Now that Kuro has died, the three-way contact between Ryu and Uro. So for those who don't remember, Uro has sky manipulation. Ability of sky manipulation, she can distort space. She also has the ability of thin ice missile and can distort the space and create cracks in the surface to use to attack other people. Her ability is very strong and it gives us a level of evasiveness, and I mean it will help her in the fight against Mahroga. We also have now Ryu, who has the highest output. He also has high concentrated punches which give him the same output as his beams, and he has a granite blaster which is a widespread beam. He can also create these beams into smaller beams, which you have seen as well. Gives him a level of versatility that he can use with his pompadour shaped cannon. Now Mahroga, as we see in the fight, this is going to be a different situation. Now the hand-to-hand combat, they're not necessarily going to be in a situation where they want to get into hand-to-hand combat with Mahroga. Especially with the fact that these won't do enough damage to actually kill him, and now we'll speculate on whether Uro and Ryu will be able to destroy Mahroga. There's two ways I'm going to do this, and it's the first if there was a free-for-all. So if we're going with the nature of how the conflict went, then they would continue in their free-for-all, and I believe just puts both of them at a bad disadvantage, and it looks more likely with Mahroga coming out to win. Let's first talk about sky manipulation and thin ice missile. I don't think it can input enough damage to kill Mahroga, and this was evident with Yuta. Even though he was hit by thin ice missile, he used RTT after and was managed to recover the damage. Now, and we know Mahroga and his basically near instant regeneration, he would be able to make up that deficiency quick and then would have adapted to her thin ice missile. Moreover, even though Uro is very dangerous as a fighter, she also uses her ability of sky manipulation to get away from people. However, now with her main attribute that we've seen, which is thin ice missile, she won't be able to use that, and she has not that many good moves in terms of closer range combat. Can unload a tremendous amount of damage to overpower Mahroga. And in my opinion, there's no way that Uro can deal with Mahroga, putting her on the outskirts, and in my opinion it will just be at the point until Mahroga continuously adapts and then finish off the battle against Uro. Now let's talk about Ryu. Ryu is another individual, and he probably has the best way in terms of defeating Mahroga. It depends if you believe the Granate Blaster will one-shot him and kill him straight away. And this is an interesting thing, even though there are things to suggest that he won't. First is Yuta reinforces his hand to block the Granate Blaster and then use RCT. That could be an example that Mahroga would be able to be more durable to survive that hit. Moreover, we can even assume with the fact that Uro herself, who had taken a lot of damage, though we know Ryu's Granite Blaster wasn't as powerful after the use of the Domain expansion, the fact that Uro had taken so much damage and even after the hit of a Domain expansion still didn't die from a Granite Blaster could indicate that it might not be powerful enough to kill Mahroga. Furthermore, more things to benefit Mahroga is he tanked the Domain expansion from Sukuna as well as some flames until he finally died. However, this could be something that could potentially counteract Mahroga, and this is hard with someone who has not that much scaling. The thing is, at the beginning of the fight, we saw Sukuna experiment with different slashing attacks to find out what Mahroga is and the phenomenon is. This could mean that he was playing around with him and allowed him to get more adept to his slashing attacks, meaning why his Domain expansion potentially did not kill him in one go. Even though we know the way in which he can imbue the cursed energy and change the shape of with Cleave and Dismantle, this could be an indication on why he didn't use even of his flames until the end to eventually kill Mahroga. However, I believe even though these people might be better in terms of their physical stats, his hacks just puts him in a situation that if it stays in the free-for-all like it was in the conflict in Sendai, Mahroga comes out on top. The only thing that can change the outcome is the Domain expansions. However, we don't know what their Domain expansions is. And especially if we're assuming this is a three-way clash, if one of them uses Domain expansion, the other's more likely to use a Domain expansion, meaning there'll be a tug of war, which only benefits Mahroga. Mahroga with his instantaneous regeneration and his hacks, I just don't see them winning, unless this second scenario, which will be the final scenario, which I think Ryu and Uro will have to team up. Even if we have the point where Kururushi gets revived upon the Domain expansion, his usage in this fight against Mahroga isn't going to help, and it's still going to go to the part with Mahroga coming out on top. The only way they can win is if they combine their attacks into one big blow, which will be able to overpower Mahroga and then continue their free-for-all after. I mean, if we were to see Kururushi send his bugs, we see Uro use Thin Ice Missile and a Granite Blaster from Ryu, that would easily overpower Mahroga in my opinion, and would be enough for the destructive force, especially with him without being able to adapt to it. Moreover, it would fit the criteria of having versatile and multiple abilities, the only avenue where I think one of the three Sendai pillars can win. At this moment of time, and this will be my conclusion, there is no way either of them can beat Mahroga in a free-for-all because his hacks abilities are too strong. They may be better than him in terms of physical stats, in terms of their abilities, and Domain expansions. However, with the fact that we don't know what their Domain expansions is, and with their current crop of abilities, nothing from what we've shown in their feats indicates that they'll be able to kill Mahroga. But if you guys enjoy these videos and enjoy JJK content, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and thank you guys for watching.